Hey guys, it's me, Angela. I know this is like the weirdest angle ever, but you get a peek at my belly. It's starting to get there. Anyway, excuse me. You'll have to forgive the shift stick in the screen. I'm driving. I'm on my way home from work. I thought this would be a really good time to give you an update. I am officially 20 weeks, so I am 5 months. That is a huge milestone. I am very excited. Today's Thursday, so I'm 20 weeks in 1 day. So, something funny happened at my doctor's office on Monday that I wanted to share with you guys just because I found it so hilarious that it has to be shared. Okay, so, I saw a midwife that I hadn't seen before. She's from the practice. I'm still trying to meet everybody. So, I got to meet her on Monday, and she was very nice. Now, I had spoken to her before. She was the midwife I spoke to when my sugar levels were high and when I had to have the doctor's office call the lab. I think I told you guys about that when I did my 24-hour urine and the orders weren't there. So she was the one I spoke to for that as well. Anyway, sorry, I'm watching traffic. So I got to see her in person for the first time. She was very nice. And first thing we got started on was with listen to the baby's heartbeat. And it was at about 137 beats per minute. So it was pretty good. It's the first time it's under 140. But, as they get bigger, the heart rate does slow down a little bit. So that wasn't out of normal for me to know. So I wasn't concerned. Oh well, I broke my streak. I yawned. Sorry. Anyway, then she has me lay back so she can measure my uterus. That's routine at this point. And she was like, well, I shouldn't really need a measuring tape because at 20 weeks, usually the fundus of the uterus is right at the belly button. So she starts to feel, and she goes, okay, you're bigger. Let me go get the measuring tape. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just laying there waiting. She comes back, she measures me. She measures me again. And she goes, how many weeks are you? And I said, I'm 20. Well, I'll be 20 in 2 days. And she goes, you're measuring 25 weeks. And I'm just like, okay, is this lady insane? Like, really? She goes, your baby is measuring 5 weeks bigger than it's supposed to. And if it keeps growing like this, you're not going to be able to have a VBAC like you want. So I would really start thinking seriously about that C-section and start getting your head wrapped around that idea. And I'm just like, okay, I had an ultrasound a week and a half earlier. I had my ultrasound at exactly 18 weeks. Okay. And the baby was measuring 18 weeks in 6 days. So it was only measuring 6 days bigger a week and a half before. So I'm trying to figure out, how does a baby grow 4 weeks worth in a week and a half? Let's see. She says if you have gestational diabetes, that can happen. Okay. Fair enough. If your sugars are out of control and you eat like crazy and don't take care of yourself, yes, I can see that happening. But my sugars have been beautiful. When I say beautiful, I mean my insulin dose is like the minimum amount, and it was 10 units at nighttime, only once a day. And my endocrinologist called me and told me to drop to 8 units because I was having sugar levels in the 60s. Okay, that's how good my sugar is. My gestational diabetes is not severe, and it is not out of control for my baby to grow 4 weeks in 1.5 weeks. So I ended up kind of ignoring her because, okay, obviously, as you can see, this is an all baby, okay? I am a big girl. I have jelly belly, like I told you guys before, which is why I haven't shown you my belly. She's not taking into account the 4 to 5 centimeters of fat sitting on top of my uterus. I mean, that really does affect the measuring of the stomach, I know, because I've measured bellies before. It makes a difference. I used to work for an OBGYN and did the same thing. I listened to heartbeats, I measured bellies, I did all that stuff. So at this point, you know, she's like all freaking out, and I'm just sitting there perfectly calm. I end up having to calm her down, and I'm just like, okay, well, the same thing happened with my first two kids, but as I get further along, they slow down in growth, and the weeks kind of catch up with them. And she was like, okay. So I just thought that was so funny that I ended up having to calm her down because she's freaking out that my baby supposedly measures too big. Now, when I go back on the 12th, I think, for my next ultrasound, it's either the 12th or the 18th of March. I don't remember. I know I have an appointment on both days, but I forget which one's for which. I have an endocrinologist appointment and I have my perinatologist appointment. So when I have my next ultrasound in a couple weeks, they will tell me, I'm going to tell them that story, and they're going to tell me that it's physically and humanly impossible to grow 4 weeks worth in 1 week unless there's something really wrong. And they're going to measure the baby, and the baby's maybe going to measure a week ahead. Maybe. That's my prediction. And because that's been consistent throughout this pregnancy since I was 11 weeks, the baby was measuring like 11.4. So I would say anywhere between 5 days to 8 days bigger. That's going to be my prediction on the size of my baby. And that's always been the case with me. At one point, my son did get to be about 2 weeks bigger. But like, he was a big baby anyway because I did have gestational diabetes. And it was not diagnosed and I was not treated. I ate whatever I wanted. And that's why he weighed 8 pounds, 13 ounces at 37 and a half weeks. Which is when I had him. So that, yes, he would have been over 10 pounds had he made it to 40 weeks. Because I had uncontrolled gestational diabetes that was undiagnosed. So, being that I'm taking such good care of myself, with this pregnancy, I've actually lost 13 pounds. I am halfway through my pregnancy and I have yet to gain any weight whatsoever. So explain to me how my baby is supposedly measuring 5 weeks ahead of where it's supposed to be. I don't get that. I mean, it was so silly. I'm utterly praying that she's not the person that's at the hospital the day I deliver. I'm just grateful that because of my previous history, one of the doctors has to be at my delivery. I cannot be delivered by a midwife. I can be watched and taken care of by a midwife during my labor, but when it comes time to actually deliver the baby, I have to have an MD. So that gives me peace of mind in knowing that even though this lady may be there when I'm having contractions and when I'm laboring, that's fine. I'll smile at her or yell at her or however I feel, depending on whether or not it's epidural time or not. You know, I'll treat her nice, and I'm sure I'm probably going to see her again before I go into labor. But I cannot take anything she says seriously from this point on because that's just... Do you guys see how silly that is? I mean, it's crazy. Another thing she said, which I thought was kind of cool, because it almost it smacked me upside the head. She goes, well, you have 2 more visits every 4 weeks, and then we start seeing you every 2 weeks. And I'm sitting there like, wait, what? And she goes, yeah, 2 more visits at 4 weeks. That's 28 weeks is when we start seeing you every 2 weeks because you're high risk. And I'm just like, that's so bizarre to me because I'm so used to going at 32 weeks, starting to go every 2 weeks. And this is like a whole month earlier, so that's crazy. Yeah, so anyway, just wanted to let you guys know what was going on. Everything else is good. My symptoms are good. She is getting, I do have to say, I feel like my belly popped up out of nowhere from my previously existing belly. It's different now. Like, the top part is harder. And I can feel like all my guts have been pushed up because all the weight loss I've had, all the, when I first started losing the weight and everything, all this right here felt really, loose. It wasn't solid. I could kind of mush it down, and I could feel my ribs again. I know it's only 13 pounds, but honestly, you notice those things when you start losing weight. You notice the little differences in your rib cage and things like that. all of a sudden I was laying in bed and I was on my back for a second. I sleep on my side, but it was right before I went to bed. I was laying on my back and my belly was poking out, and I was like, okay, this is more than usual. I'm not used to this. Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that there's a baby growing inside me again. It's been so long. It's almost surreal. She does move. I do feel her. It's not very strong still. And if she was as big as they say she is, I would definitely think I would feel her a lot harder than I'm feeling her. So, again, another reason for me to think that lady was a little cuckoo. I mean, yes, I'm sure she measured me at 25 weeks. I'm sure. But she's not taking into account my belly jelly. So, whatever. I have 2 rolls of belly jelly, people. Most people only have 1. Okay, I have a bottom roll and I have a top roll. So that's going to add some centimeters to that measuring tape. I'm not ashamed of it. It's my body. I'm happy. My husband loves me the way I am. So, but I do have decency and dignity, and I will not show my naked belly on screen. So anyway, you got a sneak peek of what the belly looks like now. I'm driving, so I can't really give you more than that. Let's see. There you go. See that? Okay. Alright, so I'm going to let you guys go. I'm almost home. I will talk to you guys really, really soon. This is my 20-week update, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.